Hey guys, it's Matt. If you could hold your comments back for 5 or 10 minutes, or as long as you can, it'll better be able to help us decide this important, very important matter that we're going to discuss today. A main, that's not the main difference, a major difference or a big difference between us, people like you and me, and the creeps in terms of the rituals that they seemingly always have to present. We're going to get into what's the real reason for that, do you think? Again, hold back your comment a bit until I can present a few things, especially the people that believe wars are fought over a pipeline. Or if you believe that whole Syria thing was about money and a pipe, hold back a bit. Let me present a few things. So you have us, people like you and people like me, and just real people. We're not going to give the whole spiritual thing here based on the last video. You know who you are. I know who I am. But who are these creeps in terms of the rituals that they seemingly have to present? Why? Like, just when you get up in the morning, do you perform a ritual over your eggs and bacon, or your Quaker oats, or when you put your kid to the bus, do you perform a ritual? These creeps over here, they perform a ritual at everything they do. You know what I'm talking about? It's everything from, I mean, think about the amount of what you would call rituals leading in to the whole last 3 years, the C, the V thing, just changing the name from what they called it over to see space a pause. Oh, like the Metamorphosis poet Ovid. Go see Ovid and all the possibilities of the interpretations, the gematria. How about the 7-Eleven job application? There were actually people in the truth community at first, and I guess, hey, maybe I was there for a while. I shouldn't make fun of these people. They thought it was about the need or the justification to go to war in the Middle East. Well, that's a nice tertiary benefit for them, but it's beyond that. Of course, it's a gigantic ritual. Me and many people believe meant to move or in some way influence the very fabric of reality itself. It's not, well, they needed a reason to go get the oil. No, that's first grade truth, and we don't need to revisit that. But just hold back, especially if you thought the war in Syria was about a pipeline, hold back as long as you can. So, the rituals, the biggies, of course, the big events, right? But right down to Super Bowl halftime shows. Or the Beyonce, how about, remember the Beyonce birthing ritual, whatever that was, or was it the Grammys where she's just up there on this chair and this light I mean, she's pregnant. I mean, of course, it's a gigantic ritual. The people around us, like my friend Tony, would think I'm insane for saying this. So look, I'll go through I wrote down some of the notes, some of the main rituals that they've presented since we've been trying to examine the creeps, the, the creeps, and all that they do. But in terms of this short list that I have here, these are just the big ones. There's 1,000 other things probably we could point to. So what we want to try to get into, and I'll look to your comments. I have some ideas, of course, I'll present. But you have a group of people over here, that's you and me. We produce our own energy. We don't need to conduct rituals. We're not interested in conducting rituals over our eggs. Or you have a group over here that constantly needs to make these types of presentations. And although it may seem obvious to some, I mean, there's a whole lot over here that may be going on that maybe we didn't realize. And speaking of ritual, let me just read this, and for a few reasons, I wanted to read this headline here. Um, Britain's King Charles III will be crowned at London's Westminster Abbey next May. May 6th is King Charles III's coronation. Coron, coronation. I'm talking about King Charles. I'm a big fan of his coronation, May 6th. All right. And the article says, well, why May 6th? Isn't he the king now? They're calling him the king. Well, what's this coronation? Why didn't they do the coronation right away? Well, per the theme of this video, everything they do for some weird, creepy reason is about a ritual. But they'll cover it over, they'll gloss it over, and they'll put a bunch of bullshit out for the masses. Look at this. So this article's like, well, why is it May 6th? So where'd that date come from? Why is it so far in the future? Charles, 73, automatically became king on the death of his mother, the Queen Elizabeth, blah, blah, blah. But the grand coronation, which is spelled Corona, as corona in a nation, Coronation, coronation ceremony bought for him and his wife Camilla will be crowned queen. It says here queen, queen regent or something like that. Saturday, May 6th. Okay, here's the key. According to some media reports, King Charles had seemingly selected May 6th to make his wife Camilla happy, as the coronation date holds special meaning for her. Oh, sure. Well, let me just finish. According to Hello Magazine, May 6th is the date of Camilla's daughter will be celebrating her wedding anniversary. Oh, sure. Now, do the masses even believe this? I think most of them probably do. I mean, is this actually the story they're running with? Well, we know, you know, the reason we don't know exactly what that date means to them in terms of the types of things that are being discussed here. But no, it's not because he would check with his wife and she says, I like the six because of my daughter. Oh my. I mean, do the masses, are they that stupid where they would actually believe this? The reason is it's a gigantic ritual, of course. Well, what does that mean? I don't know. I don't know. Okay, we can notice it. This is not my thing. I don't care to get closer to it. I can notice that May is 5 and it's on May 6th and that's a 6 and the follow that's an 11. That's how they do business. Why exactly? Why do they need Okay, getting into the back to, the main purpose of this video. Of course, why are they doing the rituals? Of course, to generate or harness power of some kind related to dark magic. Why the back of the dollar bill is some sort of sigil magic. Of course, they harness power and energy in this way. But I mean, I don't want to get closer to it. I don't know any more about it than that, but that's obvious, isn't it? But what I focus on and what's more important in this type of video presentation is, do you need to do that? It relates to the last video with the slides. Do you need to put all these symbols all over the place for your lively? I mean, no, real people, we can generate our own power. We don't care to do this stuff. We don't want to do this stuff. Somebody knocked on my door and said, "Matt, here's a quick spell that can you can get a Cadillac will appear down your driveway. Oh, you can see these acorns here, just bang them together." Be like, "No, thanks. I don't want to perform no." And there's all sorts of stuff online that, oh, you create your own sigil and you can get this or that. I think for the most part, real people, let's say it works. I don't give a shit. Do real people like you and me don't give a shit if it works or not? I'm not going to go bang acorns together, whatever, to get this or that. We're at the point where we don't care about getting anything in this material realm. But the main point of this presentation is, maybe many of us have dabbled in that or whatever, but do real spiritual beings need to do it? Of course not. We don't need to do any rituals of any kind. I believe affirmations are important as a pushback on the tricks, like the straw man, first name, caps, last name, and all the stuff we've talked about in the past. But the point is, this creep class, they for some reason, they must. Do I know that? But okay, thousands, potentially thousands of rituals presented over the last few hundred years. I mean, they probably didn't break, what do you call it, place the cornerstone on an important building in Washington, D.C. that, of course, all reflected the lineage of Rome. They probably didn't place a cornerstone without a ritual of some kind, or at least without the astrology being in the right place for when the cornerstone would be placed. Like, what is all this for? And it's interesting to go here and to dabble, and hopefully the comments won't get too in the weeds. But if you turn this video off right now, I'm always going to try to present the good over getting us more in the weeds on the creepy. The main purpose here is to point out how different you are than they are. A Melvin P. or 1 billion, Bezo. Melvin and somebody asked me to do another Melvin and Bezo, and I need to do another Melvin and Bezo because I'm sure they're thinking up ways right now how they're going to screw us over next year, and so we got to get ahead of that with the. It's kind of like a live mic of the Melvin and Bezo when they're planning to screw us all over. So I'll get working on that. But we don't need to do this stuff. They need to, which points out they're a completely different type of entity than you are, a different type of incarnation. It would have to be. I believe um, in what Tony has told me about the different types of incarnations that are here, and you are and I are at a higher level. One of the reasons that, Matt, you're just jealous because they have all the money and they have all the power. But in terms of what's important, again, I don't have any desire to or need to perform any sort of ritual. I mean, you know what I'm talking about, and they constantly need to, and they need it. We'll get into the potentially float a lot of different reasons as to why they have to do this. But the most important part is it's the best news of all time. That do you need to do that sort of horse shit? No, I don't either. That's really good news. So in terms of all these rituals that they're constantly running around performing, I just, off the top of my head wrote the big ones down here. There's 1,000 more or thousands more where this came from. So you've got the big ones, of course. The submission of the 7-Eleven job application was a giant ritual in 2001. And then there's branch after branch, the two into one religion, the merging of the two. I mean, all the stuff that 88 Finest Temporis has pointed out, and then they put it in their movies, constant odes to the two into one religion. I mean, it just goes, the branches go off forever. What kind of creep would need to do all this horse shit? I mean, I've got a new hobo code. Relates to Freddie Mercury bot. Freddie Mercury, my favorite band of Queen. The Bohemian Rhapsody, Sycamore Grove. Bohemian Rhapsody, Sycamore Grove. But just it's the Bohemian, the last word. And I once had I had a problem with a video for discussing that, and I don't want to, but so we have the Bohemian Rhapsody. That's that in terms, that stuff that Alex Jones filmed. Okay, well, that was all a setup, of course. He was meant to get in. He didn't sneak in. It was ridiculous. But in terms of that ritual, which they call the cremation of care, that is real. That is a ritual that they perform there. Okay. So my understanding is he filmed the real thing, but of course, it's all an act. He was invited in to film it, didn't sneak in or anything like that. But what is presented is what goes on. So that's the Bohemian Rhapsody, Sycamore Grove, from Romeo and Juliet. Underneath a grove of sycamores, did I see your son in the early morning dew? Um, that Rosaline tormenting him again. Okay, the Super Bowl halftime shows. How about the opening ceremonies and cloning ceremonies, closing ceremonies of the Olympics? I mean, every single one is a ritual of some kind. Then there's, branch off that, the Grammys, the Oscars, performances inside award shows, ritual, ritual, ritual. What kind of group would need to be doing this constantly? For what? That's what we're going to. Hopefully, you've held your comment back. I know it seems obvious what the answer is, but it might not be that obvious. So they also plant this sort of thing in movies, right? For example, something that 88 Finest Temporis covered recently was he finds constant evidence of the 7-Eleven job application ritual in, now hundreds of movies. And even in movies that you would never expect it, like Home Alone and Home Alone New York. I didn't realize Home Alone New York was so blatant where the little Macaulay, that little cretin Macaulay Culkin walks right up to the north and south and stands there. But it's even referenced though in Home Alone 1 with he goes to get the money from, his brother stores money up in a little box. Oh no. Oh, that's right. It's orange, isn't it? Oh geez. Yeah, you caught me. You caught me. Yep. It's all been an act. Sorry. It crashes down, and he's pointed that out recently. It's all part of reinforcing the ritual. Okay, before we've looked at the news headlines before the big moment when the 7-Eleven job application was permitted, was submitted, and you have literally seconds or right when it happened, whatever happened. Bryant Gumbel, he's doing a cooking show, CBS Good Morning or whatever it is, Good Morning America, and he's like, "Oh, we'll be right back," and he quick, like he has to get it in. He grabs the wine, the dark. Matt, it was probably you watched Underworld, right? Yeah, maybe. Who knows? He's like, the red wine. He's taking a sip right as they go to break. That was part of the deal. We'll revisit those news. What was on the morning shows just minutes leading up to the big event. Why they need. Well, Matt, why would they need to do that? That's what we're discussing here. Why they would need to do that, on one hand, is absurd, but it is not absurd if the entire reality is a wake up generation machine. We'll get into this. Okay, I guess just give me a few more minutes here. The gematria, of course, the endless gematria, is part of the same ritual presentation. What I talked about, Mike covers over at Sage of Quay. Seems trivial. Whether it's Paul McCartney or not, or a clone or a double, who cares? Well, it's they use it in ritualistic fashion. From what Mike has presented, I believe his research is accurate about ushering in their new age of Horus. Why is that important to a group like that? Like if you're just out farming or doing whatever you do as a real generator being, it's like, hey, you want to help us usher in an age of Horus? Like, who the hell cares about that? I just want to plant my crops and be left alone. But the age of Horus, I'm not interested in that horse shit. Like who real people like you and me? Why would we be interested in that? Why are they? Okay, we'll go there. Okay, the Dealey Plaza. Um, that was a giant, in my opinion. What we're talking about here. Okay, it's at the highest. All of these things, when you look at them from, looking down from far enough away, it's ritual first and foremost for whatever they need to get out of it. If they can get tertiary benefits like the ability to fool the masses that they actually have to send armies into the Middle East, well, they love those tertiary benefits, but that's not the reason for it. All right, what else is on the list here? The start of wars, of major wars. If you look closely enough, you can find a ritual of some kind. The end of wars, World War I, on both fronts come to mind. The story presented about the Archdick, um, that whole story is convertible. I look, of course, it's absurd. You don't no World War One starts over that event. He probably wasn't well liked even inside his own family. But it's a ritual of some. Well, Matt, explain. I can't. I don't want to get closer. I can't. But it is. It's a ritual of some kind. But the end of World War One, you have the Treaty of Versailles. Of course, they make a big point, history makes a big point of pointing out that it was signed, or the armistice, in the Hall of Mirrors. And I know, don't comment, I know about the license plate. This ain't my first rodeo. The license plate coded the armistice date, but it was in the Hall of Mirrors. Well, Matt, I don't know what it means exactly. I don't care. But I could just notice it's part of the ritual. They could have signed that armistice at McDonald's. It'd have to be the Hall of Mirrors. They all what type of entity are we dealing with that has to deal in these sorts of rituals all the time? Can't turn around and blow their nose without a ritual. Like, is that type of entity the same as you? Of course not. How could it be? It's like if you have lunch and as a kid in elementary school, and whatever. There's a group of kids at the table over here, and you take out your tuna fish sandwich and your peanut butter and jelly, and there was actually a kid that actually his mom packed pickle juice. He would open up a little carton of pickle juice disgusting. It's actually more palatable to me now, but it was really disgusting at the time. It was like in this old Tupperware container, like had mold on it. Anyway, if this group over here, they opened up and they had like snake parts and snake venom and heads and fangs. Would they be the same as you? That's what these creeps are to us. It's so easy for us to notice in terms of the way they do business. But to the people around us, it's incredible. It's all normal. Well, it's normal to them because they don't see the ritual. They don't see the ritual aspect of everything they do. Like my friend Tony, I guess, can put on the Grammys and just this quiet noise. I forget the birthing ritual, but it was one of the weirdest things. I guess if you just search YouTube, Beyonce birthing ritual, I don't, it's even outside of the circles that we run in. Even people in the masses are starting to call it a birthing ritual. It was so weird. The spotlight came down and she's up on this platform or something, if I remember correctly, like she's 9 months pregnant, and it was the weirdest. Why do you need to do that? For what? Okay, well, Matt. Okay, that's what we're gonna get into. I mean, even people have said there's been rituals presented in Disneyland parades. Take the little kids, people run out of the Club 33 or whatever, and it's like this this parade, where they set the fireworks off. There's a freaking ritual of some kind with sigil magic. It's all over the place. If you turn this video off now, what could be better news? That do you need to do that? No. Do I need to do that? And I mean, we know. Well, Matt, you might need to do that, and you're missing out. Or no, no, we don't need to do it now. We don't need to do it to prepare ourselves for death. We don't need to do any of that horse shit. What a wonderful feeling. Now they do. And let me look at my notes, collect my thoughts, and come back to you. This is where hopefully you've held your comment back as to why do they need to do this? And I guess it should be scary to you if I knew the answer right off the bat. I mean, shit, this just requires this is about the creepiest thing to think about in the history of the world. So I do need a moment here. If I could just spout off like their exact intentions here, that would be the weirdest thing of all time. Okay, we'll have to take this in small segments. Something as creepy as this definitely requires start at the absolute basics. All right. I don't think I'm speaking for you when I would say, okay, I know this group pretty well. Most of us here at this point in the work we've done or the way we've lived our lives, we are much more concerned with who we truly are before this incarnation, what we were, what we will be after this train stop or after death. That's much more the concern. And using this reality, using this life to benefit what comes after. I don't think I'm speaking or I'm speaking inappropriately for you when I think that is truly what matters to most people here. So if you look over here at the creep class and say there are rituals, thousands, from the major ones all the way down to something strange that might be put into a TV show or a Grammys presentation or a Super Bowl halftime show or even the Oscar itself, the award of whether it be what is it? Oh, it's the golden phallus of Osiris or Osiris itself. Everything they do. Okay, Matt, you don't need to say that. We know everything they do is a damn ritual. So if you were in a group of things or whatever, that everything you did have to be a ritual that in some way, of course, is to, if not harness power and energy, channel it in a certain way. Would that group's concern be about what they were before being born? I assume a Melvin P comes out of their mother just like you and me. I can only assume that at this point. I mean, I saw the end of Predators, no, I saw the end of Alien versus Predators, where they took the Predator aliens, they brought the damn gigantic mother alien back to life, and it just started giving birth to the pod aliens. It was just like a birthing machine, so they could have their little war games underground in the pyramid. If Melvin came out of something like that, well, I wouldn't know that. I can only assume that his birth was real, but I don't know. Anything's possible. I'm kind of joking with that, but either way, would hit all. So he's running around doing this, and he did that E blank pause bot 201. Now he's doing something else. Oh, he's making a statement about what's to come and all this stuff, all part of laying down the ritual and all this bullshit, which, assuming we shouldn't ignore it totally. If there's a way you believe you can nullify it, then it's not, and you don't have to go out of your way to do it through an affirmation or a noticing of it or an intention. Do what you can, but but we're not going to sit there and conduct a ritual to combat their rituals. I mean, maybe some of you do. I certainly don't do that. I want to be left alone. I don't care to do that. I don't dabble in that shit. So it seems like if you're running around here doing rituals, you're more concerned with this life. Are you concerned with what comes after or what you were before? No, the ritual, if it's being done here, it's to affect them in this place, or to affect something that has to do with this reality or this lifetime. So our focus is on, here's the reality bookends, living a life between birth and death. Our focus is over here on this outside the bookend and outside the bookend over here. Again, I'm sorry if Matt, don't speak for me. I think most of us are on the same page here. Okay. This train stop here, this is not as important as the reality makes it out to be. What we were fooled, what we thought it was 20 years ago. It doesn't mean I'm just going to go jump off a bridge, but this is a train stop put into a greater perspective. Okay. So everything here is an inversion, right, or opposite. So why wouldn't they potentially, in this regard, in many regards, be the opposite of us, or the duality? We're this, they're that, two ends of a magnet. Their focus is on what's going on inside the bookends, the rituals to benefit themselves here, to harness or direct energy here. So, I mean, that right there, if you believe, I mean, I don't know any other way to interpret. I mean, of course they're doing whatever ritual they're running around doing. They're not doing it for their afterlife or whatever. It's to look at the effect of the 7-Eleven job application. It affected reality here. So it's just another bit of evidence that this is a different type of entity than you are, different type of incarnation. It seems to be concerned with here. Okay, the way Tony's present a sequential incarnation, I don't know if he said all of them or many of them, they do have a spiritual higher self. It's a lower level than you and me as Tony's presented it, but they have the many have past life knowledge or carry the ancient uh, who they were. It's all part of a whole, but he called them game addicted. And what that would mean is they come back and keep participating in this reality. I think Tony would say they do come back, or the joke I made of it in the first conversation after a failed assignment, where the person had recently died and said that oh yes, the Hillary, that was Caligula. Remember in the president? Oh, Hillary? Oh yeah, that was the same as Vlad the Impaler. This is similar to what Tony has described as a sequential incarnation, but the why would you be running around doing? Why do you paint your house? Because for your to make it better here. Why are they? I'm not saying. Did you just equate painting your house to a creepy ritual? Okay, you talk on the fly for how many minutes now? Sometimes it doesn't always come out the best, but you know what I mean. Where most of us don't give a shit about any metric of status here, or bang these acorns together, Matt, and you can win the Publishers Clearinghouse and a Cadillac will appear in your driveway. I don't care about banging the acorn. I don't care. All I want to be able to do is improve myself, continue to refine what I consider to be doing the work that I need to do here in preparation, yes, for the moment of death. I mean, that's a little grim. I know that the samurai were their whole, I think in a much different way than we would look at it, but their whole from rising in the morning from bed to going to sleep at night, their 90% of their focus was preparing themselves for death. I've read that about the samurai, and it's a little dark and grim, but we're at the point, many of us are at the point where what we do here is making sure we do the work that was intended for us to do in life. Okay, we don't give a shit about no Cadillac and banging no acorns together and what we could get or what people think of us or any almost every reward, at least from an old guard perspective, that this reality could throw at us, we just don't give a shit. Okay, that doesn't mean, we want to starve or we don't want enough comfort to be able to turn the heat to 65 or fill our bellies. I mean, sure, but past that, I have Netflix and Amazon Prime. Okay, yeah, okay. I don't go anywhere. I don't do anything. I don't want to go anywhere. I don't want to do anything. But I don't, beyond the basics, we just don't give a shit. Where, it seems like they're always working for more and more and more. But if they have memories of past selves or whatever this type of incarnation the creeps is, I mean, I would say, not do they don't just understand the stock market and how to beat it. They are the stock market. They build it. So of course they don't need. We've toyed with this in the past. Whereas there are a group here that, again, Tony calls them game addicted. We'll get into how he's described that or how that relates to the differences in incarnation as he's described it between us and them. But we've toyed with a group of people here. We'll just call them people for now. Who knows what they are? That don't need passports. That don't need money. They could just show up in a country or fly here or there, and nope. Passport? It's literally like Obi-Wan Kenobi in the original Star Wars. These aren't the droids you're looking for. Move along. You don't need my passport. You don't. Oh, we heard somebody would be arriving today. We don't need your passport. These are the droids we're looking for. These aren't the droids you're looking for either. Move along. Move along. You have money? No, I don't need money. That's what I mean, look, who knows? Who knows? But in terms of the way Tony's described it, it's like that type of incarnation. They just are. It's like they're game addicted. How many times can you get a blowjob on the back of a speedboat? No matter, Matt, every time you come back in a new life, the speedboat's going to be bigger. Yeah, but the blowjob's going to be the same. Maybe not, but the speedboat. So that's just. Then they get jaded, right? We say that they would get jaded. That's why why Mick Jagger was supposedly with David Bowie and that whole, who knows what's true with found them together. Well, that's because if you do remember past lives and you've done every single thing there is to do and you've experimented in every sick way and you just get jaded and nothing pleases you anymore. You need to get the same high. You don't need two, then you need four, then you need more to get the same high, especially if you remember past lives or past experiences. So it's almost like it's not just, it seems like to them, that's why everything seems to be a perversion. They're always pushing the envelope on the weird, where, you know, we just have no desire for any of that horse shit. So the main point of this section was we're operating for trying to find out who we were before birth, and we're operating, and what we do is for after this reality, after death. Sorry if I'm speaking for you, but I'll just say me. But they're doing it for this. They're interested inside the bookends. We're interested on what's outside those same bookends. A clear difference between us and them. Let me collect my thoughts and we'll go from here. According to Tony, we are a higher level spiritual incarnation because we're taking a bigger risk. That's not the best way to put it. A higher level incarnation than they are. And appreciate some of the things Tony shared with me here, but you can feel it deep down. I mean, just look at Melvin. I mean, remember the inner knowing work we were doing? in the slide video? What is, what does your inner knowing tell you about? It doesn't matter how many billions they say or how many people bow down to him as this tech genius, and it just, I mean, just look at these people. Is anybody here for a second think they're not superior to any of these people that make these presentations? Appreciate how Tony described it, but and we'll need go back and we'll talk about that in a second. But you can feel it. And these some of these things running around are absolute jokes. Somebody tell a joke, the old guy said in Moonstruck. I don't care if Cher is a what do she would be? A an M to F or what? I like Moonstruck. Moonstruck's a great movie. And there's ritual shit in that or whatever, some weird, creepy stuff in that we'll talk about. You know, why did he get was it his right hand that was cut off? Ronnie's? Anyway, Loretta, I love the names. Castorini, Capumaji, and what was it? Loretta Castorini, Johnny Camerari, and Camumaji. three, the three greatest C Italian names of all time. Matt, stop. This is big, important topic. Stop the moonstruck horse shit. Sorry. Um, so Tony would talk about, again, the differences between us and them in terms of the incarnation. And it's bad to say we're taking a bigger risk, but I don't know how he would describe it, or he has described it to me, but it's like, I don't know. I guess if I'm remembering some of the stuff he wrote to me in this regard, it says like to come in to a lifetime um, deaf, dumb, and blind as to your true nature, which we've called the Tommy, the deaf, dumb, and blind kid, sure plays a mean pinball. I believe that this is really. I don't believe that's a coincidence. I believe that the Who's Tommy, to call rock opera, whatever that horse shit is, it relates to an incarnation that comes in to a reality, deaf, dumb, and blind as to their true nature. So Tony would say, these incarnations like Bezo, they can be what we are. It's just too scary to them to be what we are. And then it gets into the term game addicted. Like again, if you have a sense who you are, you've rigged this entire system, you remember your past lives, or I don't know exactly how that works, but you have carry forth the ancient knowledge, your position of power will always be assured unless, many have been humiliated, but whatever. That's by the way, talk about the rituals we've been talking about. The humiliation rituals are part of it. Why? Why? And I'm saying it relates to the nature of how these incarnations need to operate in this reality. I'm not talking about some you could look up in a book about some Masonic ritual. I'm not talking about what could happen in some local lodge. I'm talking about it's not worth my time talking about that or trying to understand that. I'm talking about these creeps are operating with these rituals, all the ones I've listed. Well, there's thousands more than the big ones that I just took some quick notes, but then it's they need to do this for their place in this reality. It's metaphysical in some way. And the best news of all time is we don't need any of that stuff. So getting back to what I was saying, like even if this does relate to, it just popped in my head, potentially the Brad Pitt from Troy, the gods envy us. Now, is Melvin and Bezo the gods? I don't, no, of course not. I would never put it that way. But is there who knows, certain truths are presented in movies. A bit the way Tony's described it, a Bezo could envy us. We are the higher level spiritual incarnation, where it's like, hey, we've got the speedboats, we got the power, we got the blowjobs, we got this, we got like, you want to give all this up to be like this guy Matt, this pathetic loser in the same sweatshirt, and to be like people listening to Matt and just they don't have anything, their families disown them. Do we want to do that? And they're like, we'll do that someday. We're not ready for that yet. We're gonna next lifetime. I'm promised a bigger speedboat, and it's actually Tesla's talked about the new $600 million. It's not a joke. Tesla floated out they're going to do a $600 or $700 million yacht And people, or even like regular people, like, oh, I hope Elon really starts working on that project. It's just floated out. It's probably never going to be in production. It's just a bunch of bullshit. But from their perspective, yeah, I want to come back and do the Tesla yacht. Let's just do a few more lifetimes, Melvin, and maybe I'll do a Melvin and Bezos based on this at concept. Maybe we'll just do a few more lifetimes, just enjoy this a little bit longer. We'll eventually. And Tony says that, and many of you don't want to hear this, but Tony says they have the ability to get where we are. Um, they're not maybe as trapped here as we thought, or alluded to maybe in the last conversation. No, the first conversation after a failed life, where the character's talking to the demon creature, like the realm minions and wardens, at least the way I presented in that fiction part of the presentation, like they're trapped here. They'll be here only as long as the realm will be here. Where Tony has said, like, no, they can, if they ever get the balls, they could be where you are, or Matt, or the people listening to this. But it's a lot to give up. And it seems like one of their biggest tricks is to get people like us, likely the higher spiritual incarnation, to go back to be misery loves company, to go back and be with them, which is what I've talked about. Get under the dragon's wing and resort back to that lower existence. So I would ask Tony, if he doesn't listen to most of my videos anymore, but if Bezo can get to where you are, or I'm talking to the people listening, or to where I am, if they give it all up and they take the plunge and they get some balls and they're like, I'm gonna go for it. And then Bezo would be born without any knowledge of who he was, or he'd have to go through the same difficult life that we are. Then wouldn't it seem logical that if one of us, a real generator being, made certain choices, this works against the no consequences people, that they could potentially return to that level? But it just goes against what Tony said. I know he's yelling at me, throwing rubber duckies right now, saying, Matt, you're one aspect of higher self that has put multiple aspects of things like you in different reality systems at different times. You couldn't drag your higher self back to Bezo level, but you're just one little tentacle, one little finger. And I don't know, I'm going to be a little bit tougher on policing comments, guys, because the comments, 10% of the people, maybe more, they come for the comments and the camaraderie of like-minded people. They don't care about my horse shit, or some guy sitting down with his old sweatshirt. They come for the comments. So pure nonsense. I'm going to remove more people from the channel. Somebody commented, Matt, be on. I mean, just people, constant little jabs. I'm not going to deal with it anymore. Delete the comment, delete the people off the channel. Some jackass said, Matt, just be honest. You're really Tony, aren't you? Oh, what would that benefit me? So the highest level concepts and the things that resonate with you and me in terms of our inner knowing, some of the things I've said, Tony's presented, I'm really helping myself by saying it's somebody else saying that. Why wouldn't I just say it's my idea? I mean, I don't lie to anybody on this show. I haven't lied about anything ever. Okay, to me, it's not a coincidence that you want to talk about duality. This realm keeps making a presentation in front of us into this place is Earth's true nature. I don't think it's a coincidence that I confuse people with the name Tony, because in one sentence I'll be talking about my friend that was best man in his wedding, who's completely, I mean, everything that comes on CNN is real. Don Lemon is a truth seeker, or no, he's a truth speaker. A low-level creature like that is a truth speaker. He believes every bit of it. Believes. Now he says, well, I understand the Democrats, Matt, they're trying to infiltrate the school systems, and he falls for all those narratives about the liberalism being the new. I mean, just I mean, okay, so that's Tony, but then the other Tony is somebody who contacted me a few years ago saying, can I share some things with you? And what he did differently and why I started talking to him is, by the way, let me just get the point out. It's not a coincidence. They're both Tony, in my opinion. Like duality, this is just the way this reality shows all of us clues all the time. And I don't think it is a coincidence. What are the chances of all the gin joints in all the world? But no, Tony is not me. Why would I? Did somebody derive that from from what is it? Jack Nicholson in The Shining. The Tony. Did somebody derive that from the little kid's fake friend? Matt Tony. No, it's not a fake friend. And what made Tony different, there's so many jackasses that have approached me over the years about, and Tony's not one of them, in terms of the way he did it versus these other jackasses. It's always these minions or these golems, it's always the same script. And you've heard me talk about this before. They always dangle the carrot. Matt, do you really want to know what's going on? I've got the answer. It's like a drug pusher. You want to be cool? Look what I got. They never just share. So Tony just comes sharing the information. It's like took him an hour to write a certain email. Typing like this and some of the arthritic fingers or whatever. He just I hope he reads it, but he just offered it. It's not like the minions always have to go about it a certain way. Like, hey Matt, if you ask me for it, I can fill in some gaps for you. Then see, I have to reach out. It's almost like they're trying to create contract with me. Where if it's just offered, there's no contract. It's just being offered with nothing being asked and returned. Well, Matt, the creeps then will approach you. They'll revise the way they approach you. I don't think they can. I mean, first of all, we have the inner knowing to see through basically everything at this point. But it's just the way they have to do business. Anyway, I can't tell you how many times someone is, Matt, if you just reach out to me, you got to take the first step, and then oh boy, what did then it's similar to when people come forth in videos like, I had this incredible epiphany, ask the universe for this, or never ask the ether for anything. Never ask it'll come to you in the end. Who knows what creepy thing will show up, and no. Anyway, so no, Tony, it's not imaginary, it's a real. Maybe it's chatbot. I've talked to him on the phone, but maybe it's chatbot GPT. I think it's real person, but it does see. Well, yeah, someone's screaming, throwing rubber duckies. Matt, how do you know the information you get from Tony is because like the slide video, the last video, we have the knowledge. We have it inside of us. I don't tell you, I'm not teaching. I call it a Hamish Amish Hamish classroom. I'm not teaching anybody anything. I might say something and you go, yeah, that's right, because you know it already. We've been over this. I know it already. So Tony starts saying, there's a total difference in the incarnation between a Melvin P and a 1 billion. He's like, they're different. They're not the same. That document, all men are created. That's not the case, man. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. That's right. That just cleared everything up. Things that I already knew. I'm not being swindled by Tony. Or I bring out your inner knowing. He brings out mine. People email me. It just goes back and forth. And then we build on our knowing, and ultimately when it's down to a half page, then well, it's a half page, and there's not much more really we need to know in terms of how this reality works. What we do need to do is make sure we understand to do the work here, writing down, okay, this is something. The damn rooster's back. Matt, you don't believe that your whole life is about overcoming a damn rooster that's driving you crazy up. No, I'm just using that as an example of one of a million things I've got to do here for myself. But it's not back. It always has been the rooster. It's back because it just doesn't cackle all day long now. I was out several times and I didn't hear it, but now it's at least it doesn't cackle all day long, but it's still up there. I don't know why the neighbors that are literally right next to it, why they just passively put up with it. Just go over and say, dude, you're going to get rid of that rooster? Say, dude, that would be out of sight if you could get rid of that rooster. Or you saw that you could little hints you could say, you saw that scene in Cold Mountain when Ruby Two showed up, and he's like, when what's her name? What is her name? That horrible actress that was in Australia and was Tom Cruise's wife, Nicole Kidman. She's decent in Cold Mountain, though. Nicole Kidman says that rooster is Lucifer himself. And then Ruby 2 says, I hate a flogging rooster. Let's put him in a pot. act that scene. I would if it was not. It's not my neighbor. I just hear it like it still drives me crazy. Not the rooster itself doesn't drive me crazy. How people can be so inconsiderate. It's the actions of the homeowner that just which makes the sound of the rooster. Um, that's what drives me crazy. Not the if the rooster is running around out back doing it on its own, wild or feral, I wouldn't give a shit. See what I mean? Sorry. So guys, let me just pause. There's probably something I missed. All right, to wrap it up or the conclusion section, we'll just have fun with it. The way this presentation was being made, like we always do, per stumbling, somebody stumbling upon the video would say, here's a group of people, or this person, Matt, who's talking to like-minded people, and see, you got to see this, honey. This guy believes, you want to talk about delusions, you want to talk about a rationalization and a psychotic one at that. He believes he's superior and better. It's always funny to do it this way. He believes he's better, and there's apparently a group of people that believe like he does. He's better than the billionaires of this world and the presidents and prime ministers. He's so psychotic and delusional that he's saying, he knows he can't prove it materialistically. He can't. If you show up at his house, he don't have a giant speedboat in the driveway and a helicopter pad, and he doesn't have a harem of Giselles. Like, as soon as Tom Brady broke up with Giselle, like she flocked right over to Matt. He don't have that. So he's just saying in ways you can't prove spiritually. Oh, sure. Look at these, honey, come look at these delusional sons of bitches. He's saying you can't prove it. Oh, my spiritual aura is better than Bezo. And do you believe how delusional these? Look, folks, you know it. I know it. We can feel it. It's nobody's saying anything to make nobody's. You're not. Blah, 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 blah. You're not watching me to make yourself feel better, so we can all be delusional. We know this. Our inner knowing, every aspect of ourselves tells us this is the case. You know. So in a way, Bezo envies us. Yeah, yeah, probably. Nobody's saying anything to make anybody feel better in a psychotic, schizophrenic, delusional way. This is the way it is. All right. Can I prove it? No, I can't. Um, to the people stumbling upon this video that think this is so strange, isn't Don Lemon on now? Go check him out. He'll tell you that Don Lemon will tell you how the world really works. Highly talented Don Lemon, very respectable individual. Um, I guess that's it, guys. The best news in the summary is this is, again, the greatest news of all time. We're interested. Our interest has gone from inside the reality bookends to what we were, what we will be, making sure we use this. And maybe it's a retrocausality. Maybe you can use this for both ends of the bookends to benefit ourselves. Who knows? Who knows? I'm not going to waste it. A way to waste it is to get caught up in BitChute type truth. No doubt about it. Okay? To get caught up in that nonsense. Complete waste of time, and it's planted out there to get your attention. So you'll spend more time on it. Once you get here, I mean, you can clearly see that 99% of the truth community has been set up to distract us in the only way we can, those progressing in certain areas, the only way we can be distracted is this. What is this Illuminati? And what is, even if you get too in the weeds on, what is this next age they're presenting and too into like what the creeps are up to, it doesn't affect you and me. If they, Matt, if they bring in their Age of Horus or whatever, well, okay, well, that doesn't affect what I need to do here in life for myself. Whatever. I don't, maybe they'll announce that instead of the golden whatever at the Oscars, they'll have a different of a flying falcon or something if you get Best Picture. Who gives a shit? But Matt, they'll be fostering the power for them. If they look, whatever they're going to harness from the masses, they're going to. I can't stop that. Okay, I can't fly up into the air, morph into a ball of light. I'm here to worry about myself spiritually and do what I need to do here. If I can wake others up, I will certainly take that opportunity whenever I can. But it is not my primary concern. Thanks for watching, guys, and there's some big things I want to do for free voice. But guys, these videos, because I can put a little bit, some movie clips and some music, it takes so much time. So I don't know if I'll get it done, but if I, usually I make a video on Saturday, but again, it's likely if I just go away on Saturday, I'm not out doing a mummers pre-party. I'm working on the free voice video, and it to produce the type of like movie and things, it takes a lot more than 2 days too. But um, I don't know. Maybe at some point I will have to take some time off and do the little mini movie I want to do for free voice using all the old Mac clips while the old Mac is still here. But all right, guys, thanks for watching. I'll check you either tomorrow, Saturday, or Sunday at freevoice.io.